Okay, hi everybody. Last video of the evening because as you can see, I'm having a bad hair day. I need to wash my hair and do something to it. But anyway, so I wanted to come and do a video on salary, or just talk about salary and negotiations, because someone left a comment earlier today wanting some more information about how to negotiate your salary, and I left a comment back to her and just discussed some things about the pay and social work, and how you kind of have to be strategic in what you do as far as getting the kind of pay that you're worth and that you deserve. So the question was, the person wanted me to discuss. She said that discussion of salary seems to be taboo in social work. Most professors and field instructors do not discuss it. They simply state social work is not the profession for you if you want to be rich. And that's so true, because I've heard that in grad school as well, that social workers don't make a lot of money, and that social work is not, we don't do social work because we want to get rich and that kind of thing. And that's very true. You can make a very good salary being a social worker. You just have to climb up the ladder like most people do in other professions, and you have to be good at what you do and have to be well rounded and have a lot of expertise and knowledge and experience in the field. So I wouldn't say that social work is a horrible field and that you'll never make any money, because that's definitely not true. I know social workers that make six figures with one job. It just depends on where you live, the background you have, the knowledge you have, the experience you have, the credentials you have, and what you do with your career. And I always say, as a social worker, your career is what you make it. It's not what anybody else makes it. So if you want to just stay at working at a nonprofit your whole career because that's what you love, and you don't make a lot of money doing it because your nonprofit runs off of grants mostly, and the cycles and money fluctuate, then that's you, and that's fine if that's what you want to do with your career. But if you want to climb the ladder and become a director or own your own company or agency or practice and go after tons and tons of grant money, then that's what you'll do. But to talk about the basics of it, starting out as a social worker with just a bachelor's degree or just a master's degree, most people don't make a whole lot of money. Some people do. So, I mean, I guess it depends on where you live in the country, what the pay is in that area, according to your experience and education and credentials and things like that. But I'm speaking about South Carolina and what I've seen in my experience. So this may be different for other people in different places in South Carolina or throughout the country and other countries. Where I'm from, where I got my master's degree at the University of South Carolina, everybody in Columbia had a master's degree in social work. So it was like everybody, it was competitive, but it was also a need for social workers in Columbia due to the homeless population and due to just the jobs that were centered around social work and the need for social workers. Now, when I moved to the upstate of South Carolina, what I've seen is that a lot of people don't have master's degrees in social work. So I felt like my opportunity to get a job with good pay was better up here, and that has been the case for me. I didn't really try to get any other jobs in Columbia after I graduated from grad school, so I really stayed at the same job for 4 years, and then I moved to the upstate of South Carolina. But back to the money part and the salary negotiation part. So what I was saying in the comment to the young lady that left the comment earlier today was that my very first social work job, when I only had a bachelor's degree in sociology and criminal justice, I was not making a livable wage at all. And fortunately, I was at home during that time. I had just graduated from undergrad, and well, not just graduated, I was 2 years out of undergrad, I was living at home and I don't have any children and I wasn't married and I didn't have any major responsibilities or bills. So I'll be very transparent with y'all. I was only making $19,000 a year in my very first social work job as a housing prevention rapid rehousing coordinator or something like that. It was a grant at a domestic violence shelter, and I was only making $19,000 a year. Well, you can't make it off of that if you're on your own trying to pay rent, student loans, and all that kind of thing. So, um, I had turned down a lot of jobs before that because I had my bachelor's degree and I felt like somebody owed me something and I was not going to, settle for less than a certain amount of money. And so I had to humble myself, and I did. And I was at home, so I said, okay, you have to start somewhere, and you do. You have to start somewhere. I'm not saying that you should start with a $19,000 a year job, but that's what I did. So I had to humble myself. I took that job, and thankfully, I only stayed there for about 5 months before I got accepted into grad school and moved to Columbia and got a better job that was significantly higher than the 19,000 a year that I was making at that first job. So I stayed there for 4 years, um, and it was a nonprofit, and I did not get a raise for the entire time I was there up until I was about to leave. They finally gave me a raise, and I won't get into all that because it's just a lot of red tape and just unfair business practices, I'll say. But other people were getting raises, but the people who were on the front line doing all the work, we didn't get a raise. So anyway, that's that. I'm not bitter. I love that job. It taught me a lot. Okay, so next, I moved to Greenville and my pay increased by about $8,000. So I told you what I made in the first job was $19,000 a year. That second job, and I don't want to get into numbers, but it was significantly higher than the first job making 19,000 a year. So then, like I said, when I moved to Greenville, I had an $8,000 increase in my pay, which was still significant. And then, as far as negotiation goes, I did attempt to negotiate that, but because it was so much higher than what I had already been paid at the previous job in Columbia, they said that they couldn't go any higher because it was already like a 6 or 7% increase or something like that. So I was like, okay, but I did ask, and so you won't know if you don't ask if they'll be willing to bend and give you more. So I asked, and they said, nah. But I did start getting raises. I got a raise my very first 6 months there, and then I got a raise another 6 months later because I had been there a year, and then I got another raise. So I got 3 raises in a year and a half of working at my last job. So then I got this job that I just got and just started this week, and my pay is like $12,000 more than my last job. So, I mean, I asked for a certain amount and they exceeded what I asked for. So, I can say, as a licensed master's level social worker in the state of South Carolina, doing the job that I will be doing, that I am at a livable wage where I don't feel like I'm struggling. I've never done paycheck to paycheck, and that's only because I know how to budget and manage my money, and that's very important to know how to do. So even if you make $19,000 a year, if you know how to budget your money, even if you have children and things like that, and I know it's different and it's difficult and hard for some people, but if you learn how to manage your money, you can make $19,000 work for you. You can make $60,000 work for you. You can make $150,000 work for you. So it's just about managing your money, of course. I did not try to negotiate the money that I was offered at the current job because they exceeded what I asked for. And so I was good with that. And I will get raises. And I also noticed that there's a difference between the nonprofit world and government agencies, and agencies that don't work primarily off of grants. So if you work in a nonprofit, more than likely your salary will probably be a little lower than someone that works for the state or in a government agency, because the funding is different. And working at a hospital or a police department, they have more money than a private small nonprofit that depends on grants and donations and things like that. So let's see what else. I mean, just know what the market is for someone with your experience, your degree, your credentials or license, and your educational background and just your work experience. So if you're fresh out of grad school, you've never worked in the field, you don't have a license, and you're just green, as we call it, a new social worker, don't necessarily expect to jump out making $70,000 a year, because you don't have any experience and you only have education. And education doesn't mean much in the field if you don't have any experience, which is why it's great to do internships and volunteer work and that kind of thing. So just strategically plan your career. I had to jump around a few jobs in order to build my salary, and you will see some people doing that, building their salary. So you start out at a certain level of money. You have to stay on a job. I would recommend staying on the job at least 2 years before moving to another job to try to increase your salary. But if you want your salary to increase, you do need to, move around in the field, get experience, become well-rounded, grow your professional expertise, and then move to the next job, and your pay hopefully will increase. And just know your worth and don't settle for just anything. So if you don't want to take $19,000 a year because you can't and it doesn't make sense, don't do it. If you know that you can't take $50,000 a year because it doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't help your overall situation, then don't do it. So I mean, but also, like I said, don't jump out and think that you're gonna start out making six figures or close to six figures when you have no experience and no education, and you're not developed as a social worker yet. So you have to start somewhere, and it takes time, and you have to make your career what you want it to be. Okay, so hopefully that explains or gives you an idea about salary and social work. Just according to my perspective, if you have a different perspective, or if you have an opinion or a comment that is productive and can help our colleagues, not just some off the wall comment that's not relevant to anything. If you have a relevant comment that can help other people, then please leave it in the comment box and let us know what you think about salary and pay and social work, and how you can negotiate your salary to get it to be what you want it to be. And let me just look at the comment and make sure that I didn't leave anything out. Yeah, so I mean, you have to just take into consideration the cost of living and things like that, and what other people in the field are making in your area and in the nation. So, some people don't give you enough money because you don't ask for it. They lowball you. And also, when it comes to negotiations, let me just throw out a number. Let's say $30,000. You want to make $30,000. Let's say that as a beginning social worker or whatever. So if they ask you for your desired income, and you know that 30,000 is what you need to make, say 35, because hey, they may give you 35, but they may say, you know what, no, we can't do 35, but we might be able to do 30, or we may be able to do 33. So even if you didn't get the extra 5,000, at least you got the extra 3,000. So I mean, just make sure that you're strategic and that you go about this thing strategically in a manner that will benefit you, so that you're not pulling your hair out, saying you hate social work, you're burnt out, you can't even make a living, and that kind of thing. So we do this work because we love it and we don't see ourselves doing much of anything else. But we should be getting paid what we deserve, and hopefully you are. So until next time, I'll see you later. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends and colleagues. And go to the website daytodaysocialwork.wix.com/my site and browse around. See ya.